I remember there was one day that I came home and he asked me, he's like, is dad gonna go to heaven? Is he gonna go with Papa? And I was like, man. Oh my gosh, like, no, not like, I hope not, like, but that was a moment that was so hard to talk to my 6-year-old about, you know,
equating going to the hospital with like heaven.
Well, we kept saying he's sick, and I think that's what we said when Papa got sick, like,
yeah,
Papa's
Dad's
really
gonna go
sick,
say hi
and
to Papa.
yeah, and so he did have this moment of, I'm gonna lose my dad, and oh my gosh, that was heartbreaking.
All right, welcome back to another episode of Raising Heights with Zach and Tori.
Episode 2.
Episode 2.
We made it to episode 2.
We're back.
For those of you who tuned in last week, thank you for coming back.
Total miracle.
We must have done something right. But we're stoked that you guys are here. If you're just finding us, welcome. This is a new journey for Zach and I, and we're really excited to dive into it with
Right now, though, we would be saying, hope everyone had a good Valentine's Day.
That's true.
We talked about that last week, right?
That's true. Did you buy me anything?
I don't know.
Guess we'll find out.
Guess we'll find out. I hope everyone else had a good Valentine's, though.
Yes.
Today, we'll be talking, it's a year. I had a pretty significant surgery about a year ago.
It's been a year since Zach almost died.
Yep.
We're going to talk about it today.
100%.
We're going to talk about a near-death experience that happened in the Roloff household.
Yeah.
And hope that it brings light to people who might have similar issues.
Also awareness, though. Awareness, but also encouragement if anyone's going through something like that.
Yeah,
you know.
Sure. So something we do at dinner with our family each night is peak and pit. So the highlight and the low light of our day. We thought we'd bring that to our podcast. So don't steal my peak.
I know.
Don't steal it. What was your peak this week?
Do pits first, because pits are like
That's
negative.
True. It is kind of hard to end on a negative. Okay, so what's your pit?
No, what? Okay, my pit. My pit. I don't got one. You do.
This ice storm.
Oh yeah.
I'm a little over the ice storm.
Is that gonna be your pit?
I was not able to get me some coffee today. Because I'm bougie when it comes to coffee. I will throw my hands up and say I am too bougie.
It's too bougie.
It's too bougie. And I was not able to get coffee today. And I am paying for that at this moment.
It's the bougie-ist.
The bougie-ist.
That's your pit?
That's my pit.
My pit, the snow's going away. It's turning to ice.
I know. It's kind of a double whammy because it's sad that it's going away. But it turned into a sheet of ice. So you actually can't leave your house.
Yeah.
But
I don't know what my pit is. I had a pretty good week.
Good.
Yeah. What's your peak?
Oh, I'm glad you asked. My peak was Lila starting soccer. And I think this is both of our peaks, honestly. After talking about this, I think our peak was watching little Lila, that little girl. She has come so far. She was very shy, very timid, didn't like to try new things, didn't do well with transitions. Didn't like anyone else that's not like me, you, Jackson, Josiah, or Grandma, or Mimi. Like there really wasn't anyone else that she particularly cared to spend time with.
Yeah.
And she started soccer and she's killing it.
Yeah, very cool. Not that it's soccer, but also her confidence. Going in there, it's a class of like mostly boys. There's 2 other girls, and her best friend Mila. Her best friend Mila was with her, so I think that helped. And Mila went right in there.
Mila's like game for anything, and she walked in like she owned that place. And so Lila didn't walk in like she owned it, but she's like, "Oh, my best friend owns this, so I'm gonna just like."
And she never turned around.
Coattail. Yeah.
So once she was in, she never came out.
Yeah, I told the coach, I was like, I have a feeling she's just gonna watch, and we are fully okay with that.
Yeah.
And then 5 minutes later, she's running around doing exactly what the coach asked her to do, and having a ball.
Very cool. Yeah, it was very cool to see. So that's a great peak. That's
and she talked about it. She talked about it for the whole, like she's been talking about it ever since.
Yeah, that's gonna be my peak too.
And that's another pit, is it was canceled because of this ice storm. So get this ice storm out of here.
I agree. That was awesome to see. So.
Yeah, so fun.
Well, yeah, getting into it. So yeah, it's been a year.
It has been a year.
I had a shunt revision, which is shunt.
Pretty scary shunt revision.
Yes.
It got pretty gnarly.
A shunt is a device for me that goes in my head and drains fluid down into my stomach. And we discovered this was our doubt, but I was not dependent on it anymore.
We thought that you were not dependent on it anymore.
Yes, but
because Zach has had a shunt since he was an infant, and he had it revised at 13.
Yeah.
And 13 to 33 or 32 or however old you were when you had it done was a long time. So we kind of were in the space of, well, maybe he's just not fully dependent on it.
Yep.
That turned out to be completely false.
And the last 7 years, which if some of you have watched the show, you've seen episodes of this, I've had these migraines.
Yeah.
Terrible migraines that have canceled things for us. I've had to leave things.
But also just like they've interfered, but they've also
interfered.
just been frustrating because they've been life-altering they have been life-altering. We put on hold everything when these episodes happened.
Yeah.
And it was frustrating because we couldn't figure out what was causing them or why you were having them. I mean, I just want to say in my back pocket, I always knew it was the shunt. Yeah. Did I not?
You might have said that a couple of times.
I said that a lot of times.
I would go.
But either way, we went for 7 years with being told it was not the shunt, or that's not the likelihood of what's causing the migraines.
Yeah. We would go to the ER and I would get tested and they wouldn't see anything.
Yeah. They would do every test, and you went and saw every doctor you could possibly see.
It was stress. Yeah. I did a sleep study. I did
remember you went and saw like the gastroenterologist?
Yeah, gastroenterologist. Like it was a whole thing for a while there. And then we just settled on I just have these episodes, and it's just I would say, Tori, I need to go lay down, and sometimes a nap would make it go away. Mm-hmm. Sometimes
we were in the ER getting an IV, and usually after that you were fine again.
Yeah. And I didn't run to the ER though. Like this was like
you're like 5 or 6 or 7. You ran to the ER. You're like, I'm just gonna go to the ER real quick.
I came more casual about it, but I feel like I definitely had to go through 24 hours of a severe migraine before I said let's do it. The ER stinks.
Oh, the ER's terrible.
Sitting in the waiting room.
Bless those nurses and doctors that work in the ER.
Yeah, well, and just it could be a very sad place. It's a difficult place. Yeah. There's a lot of sick people.
Yeah.
Like physically sick. So it's not like I'm running there, and you can wait for up to like 3 hours. So definitely for me, I was like, I need to be there. Yeah. To go.
But I will say that Zachary is a very forgiving person, which usually is a very admirable trait in a human, but being forgiving and forgetful of things in this case was very frustrating, because you would get it corrected, you'd get an IV, you'd go to the ER, and you'd be fine the next day, and then you wouldn't follow up with doctors. You wouldn't go and try to really figure out what the issue was. And it like took this huge event of everything kind of like falling apart for us to finally figure out what it was.
Yeah. 100%. Part of it though, it's tough going to the doctors and saying, I don't have any symptoms right now.
Right.
But I was.
And Zach would downplay everything. You downplayed every appointment I ever went to. You would downplay it all. And I'm like, you can't do that. Like, you have to speak the truth. You have to put yourself in those moments of being absolutely miserable.
Can this justify that I am not a dramatic person?
It totally
like, I don't go to the hospital and say like I'm dying.
No, you're not that type.
Like, I'm definitely like I'm kind of dicey right now.
You get man colds every once in a while, but all men do. I swear every time I have like the sniffles, Zach is like, I'm dying, I can't do it. But in this case, no, you were not dramatic. And you were not dramatic.
Yeah, so it was 7 years of severe migraines, going to Hawaii, getting sick on the airplane all the way to Hawaii.
With your 7-month pregnant wife. I just need that detail added.
Looking back, I got sick a lot after airplane rides.
Yeah. Yeah.
it's like the pressure you're dealing with your head.
It had to have been the pressure.
Like, duh. Now you look back and it's duh.
But we didn't know, like, and I think it was frustrating because every time we went to the doctors, they would do everything on their checklist. That you did blood tests, you did shuntograms, you did CAT scans, you did all these things, and everything came back. Oh, perfect bill of health.
Yeah. Or it wasn't perfect. It just, I would say we couldn't see anything. We don't see anything. Yeah. But
even your blood test, I remember thinking like, oh my gosh, you're going to have cancer or some sort of incurable something. And they did all these all these tests. There's other things that happen besides just blood. That they did all these tests. And, I'm thinking the worst case scenario is going to happen. You're going to come back and it's going to be like, well, he has 6 months to live. And, I just was preparing myself for the worst because I just had no idea what was going on.
And let's talk about not the climax, but like Josiah being born.
Yeah, that was definitely the height of it all for me. As far as frustration goes, like as far as like we need to figure out what's happening and we need to do it now.
Tori is 6 hours postpartum.
I just had abdominal. Nope. That sounded like Zach. Oh. I had abdominal. No. What is it?
I know exactly what you're saying.
I had abdomen surgery. Abdominal surgery. There we go. Not abdominable. I don't know what that is.
Abdominal.
That's a Zach Roloff thing right there. I had abdomen surgery, had a human taken from my stomach and stitched back up. And 6 hours later, you got sick.
Yeah.
And that was like the climax for me usually Zach would tell me, honestly, he would say, don't worry about me. Take care of the kids. It never really actually happened because I always worried about you, but you never did try to make it more than it was.
Yeah, it annoyed me. I'm like, go take care of the kids. Everything else is more important. Let me just sit here and wallow until this is over.
Right. But this was like the first time with the whole thing after Josiah's birth that I was like, you have to leave. You need to get out because I was stressed. I was having like a weird reaction to the anesthesia.
Yep.
And I was feeling sick and there was just so much going on after his birth. And it wasn't that, I think when you decide as a couple, like we did, that this is our last one, like that we are actively going to try for. I mean, if God has more plan, then we have no control over that. However, Josiah was everything I had in my pregnancy and delivery and everything was like, this is the last one. Enjoy it. Enjoy every minute and like take a minute and like truly just be with your baby and your husband and like have it. It was going to be this perfect moment. And so then when you got sick, I was like,
you look over and I'm on the couch just.
I have a video. I have a video of me it's like 6. It was that same day. And I was just like, you have to leave. This is supposed to be a beautiful and happy and perfect moment, and it just sucks. Like it was the worst experience.
I'm trying to nap it off though. That's what I was trying to do, and that wasn't working.
It wasn't working. And then to top it all off, because again, I was kind of like, you need to leave. You're stressing me out more right now. I have an infant I need to care for. Like you just got to go. Zach drove.
Which these are painful migraines. Yeah. Like your eye, there's pressure behind your eyes. I probably shouldn't have driven. And that's a 45-minute drive from the hospital.
Yeah, we were in Oregon. We gave birth in Oregon and we had moved to Washington. And so that was a 45-minute drive that you should have never done.
Well, I get home, try to nap it off again, get back in the car, go to urgent care. I was mad, but I'm not a confrontational person. I'm not a direct person. Yeah. But I was very much like, I have a baby. My wife's in the hospital. I need to get back to them. Give me some. I'm not a person that likes to take a lot of medicine, but it was, nope, give me what you got and let's do this. And they did. I ended up throwing up. I'm like, give me something else. They gave me something else. And then I ended up, I think I came home and spent the night here. Because your mom was able to go.
Yeah, I think my mom.
And so everything was fine.
But that night, though, too, not to make this about me, but that night was so difficult because it was like.
I was being the stereotypical.
Yeah, you were like.
Dad, absent
dad.
I
don't want to be disrespectful, but like you were like the deadbeat dad that night. Like, where's the dad at?
Everyone's asking, where's your husband?
Oh, and it was just this like emotional. Because my mom offered to stay. My mom was like, I can stay. It'll be fine. I'll sleep on the couch. And I was I love my mom, but I was like, absolutely not. Get out. Like, thanks for bringing me food, but I'm going to just do this on my own now. But then that night it like set in that that was the first night after having major surgery. You can't get up to go to the bathroom by yourself. Like, you need help doing everything. It's like, it's a very, what's the word? Humbling. It's a very like, why can't I think about it? It's like, it's a very vulnerable experience because you have to ask for help but like usually it's your husband. Usually your husband's the one that's like helping you to the bathroom and like helping you in the shower and all these things. And I just remember a nurse coming into my room that night and just going, "Oh, where'd your husband go?" And I just started sobbing. Like, I couldn't even tell this poor woman why my husband wasn't there. I was just crying, which isn't helping the whole situation. And she's probably sitting there like, "Oh, it's those hormones have really kicked in, haven't they?" Like, it was awful, and it was just,
or her assumptions are flying.
Yeah, the husband just left her.
That's what I'm saying. Like,
yeah, or that too.
It's not helping anything.
But I think I said that multiple times. I go, he's not feeling well. Like, yeah.
And they're going, sure, he's not.
You're so right.
Gosh.
Oh my gosh. But so fast forward.
If I may say though, I was just as annoyed. I was very upset. I was very
because you were missing time with your baby, your son. Like, you were missing time like with your first.
But to wrap this around, I'm a very forgivable person. So 9 months later.
Yeah. So fast forward to 9 months.
We go to the next February. Josiah was born.
So
in
you
April.
Actually though, I want to say. You must have had 1 or 2 incidences in between, but I don't think I
ever went back to the.
I think we thought like, oh, it must be getting better. Like, it's been 9 months.
No, I had episodes, but nothing got
you in the ER.
Yeah, nothing that sent me to the ER. And then come around February,
right?
I forgot what we were doing or what led up to it or anything like that.
We were at Rudy's house. We were playing trains at Rudy's house, and you weren't feeling well, and so
Tori, I was fighting that so hard that night. That was
we were at one of my best friend's house, just having a fun time. Like we had been drinking, but it wasn't like we were not drinking. And you did. That's what I'm saying. Yeah, I was going to say that. Like there was nothing. You were kind of like, gosh, I don't feel good, and you know. I kind of chalked it up to, oh, he just is tired and whatever. And then the next morning you drove yourself again.
But it got to the point, I wasn't always like, not lying to you, but I definitely wasn't always as honest with you because I felt bad.
Well, I could tell. You're so cute that you think I didn't.
No, but I did not say like, I did not make it all about me. No. I didn't say this or that. No, you're just seeing me, but I'm not saying, Tori, I'm in a lot of pain. I never said I need to leave.
You're right. You tried to fight through it that night.
All the kids were having fun, so I didn't say like we need to go home.
Right.
Okay, go watch TV. Shut the door, Jackson. Shut the door. Don't let. I need to poo. Lila, no, you don't. Go.
Lila,
go watch TV with Jackson.
Lila, go potty. You wipe yourself, go potty, and then you go right back to bed.
No,
then
go
do
watch
it
TV.
Quietly.
Go watch TV. Jackson, shut the door.
Then do it quietly, please. Oh my Lanta, that's a whole on. That's beautiful.
I gotta edit that.
Yeah. Okay, so wait, what were we talking about?
Oh, I didn't make a big deal out of it. I didn't ask us to leave. So anyway, and then that led up to it. We go to Salmon Creek.
So you went to Salmon Creek. We dropped you off and we picked you up. I remember all of this now so vividly. I left the kids with my friend and I went and picked you up. And when I went and picked you up, you still weren't feeling great. And like an hour later, I drove you back.
To Salmon Creek, yeah.
I drove you back to the same ER and I said, I'm coming in with you. And we're not leaving until we have an answer. And we walked in, and now I'm remembering all this really well.
They're like, you're back.
I walked in, and the woman who had seen you before, she said, yeah, they found a break in his catheter, but everything looks fine. You just need to follow up with a doctor tomorrow. And I was like, no. Like, no, it's been an hour. Usually when he comes home, he's fine. We move on with our life and we're not back for another month and a half. But he's back and he's already feeling bad again. And so I'm like, no, I need help with this right now. And she again assured me they like found the break in the catheter. There were 2 spots, like a whole piece was missing from it. And they were like, you just have to follow up with neurology tomorrow.
Which we don't have. I didn't have a neurologist. My mom told me that for years. Find a doctor.
Yeah.
I just didn't.
So then that night, I slept in Jackson's room because I was like, I have to have the energy. If he's going to be sick, I have to have the energy to take care of everyone tomorrow and make sure we get where we need to go. And I got woken up at about 2 a.m. saying that your mom was on the way and that you needed to go to
my mom into
the emergency room. Yep. And I said, okay, we are going to OHSU.
I feel like I said that.
Or maybe we agreed on it. Yeah. I think we both had the same thought. I think
you were saying St. Vincent's, but I was like, OHSU.
I think maybe you're right. And then we remembered that there's like a whole unit that has doctors that specialize in skeletal dysplasia. Right? Did I say it right that time?
Dwarfism, but also just it's like good organ hospital.
But like that's where our kids see skeletal dysplasia doctors. Like, of course, that's where we should go.
There's no nonsense there.
So we went to the emergency room at OHSU, and we stayed there for 4 freaking days. Oh my gosh.
Yeah. So we were there for like 2 days, 3 days before I finally had surgery.
They could not get the pain under control. Like that first night you were there, you had so much pain medication, and the fact that you were still in so much pain.
OHSU is an elite hospital though for Oregon, and I kept getting my surgery I kept getting pushed back. The schedule was
wasn't an emergency. There were no ORs available for like scheduled surgeries.
Yeah.
It was only emergency situations.
You come home to take care of the kids, and I'm like, I'm fine. And I don't know, second or third night, I call you like, I think I'm okay. I should come home.
Well, so he couldn't get a bed in neurology because it was just, they were full. This was during COVID, and then there's still like so much stuff going on. But you finally got into neurology, and it was established that you needed surgery and that you couldn't leave the hospital until you had surgery. And so they finally got a bed for you. And that night, I'm like, okay, you're in a bed. You have all these nurses. You're not in the ER anymore. You're not in the urgent care anymore. I'm going to go home and like just make sure everyone's okay, make sure your mom is good, relieve her for a couple of hours so she can sleep. And I get woken up that morning at like 2 a.m., 4 a.m.
Something ridiculous.
By a nurse at OHSU, not my husband, but by a nurse saying your husband is getting moved to ICU.
And this is 4 hours earlier, 6 hours earlier, I called you up saying, I'm fine.
Oh my gosh.
That's what I was just saying to you.
No, but didn't I also miss your phone call?
No, I called you and like, I'm fine. Yeah. I'm ready to go home.
And so I'm sleeping well. I'm like, oh, I'm going to get so much good sleep tonight. And then 4 a.m. calls and this nurse goes, your husband's getting moved to ICU. And I remember panicking. And I can't remember if your mom was here or if I had to wait for her to get here. Like, I want to say she was here.
I think she stayed the night again.
I think she did.
We already called her twice. At 2 a.m.
I was like, here's my guest bed and food and like just
I'm pretty
sleep
sure
here.
She was here.
So I think I fled in a panic to ICU. And when I got to you finally, there were like 6 doctors in your room, and there was like a guy giving everyone notes, and it was
this is where I'm not dramatic because I'll clarify this.
Yeah.
This is a student hospital.
Yes, like it's a research hospital.
So every doctor has like 6 people following them because it's students learning or whatever.
But you also interns. Like when you walk into a situation,
I'm just saying when you say like there's like 16 people in the room.
But hold on. But when you walk into a situation like that, you don't take note that these are students. You take note that there's 6 people taking notes in your room right now because it was
there were a lot of people in there, though.
Zach was there yelling my name. You were there, Tori, like yelling it in this ICU. And so I'm like, oh my gosh, he's dying. Like, this is it. Like, we need help right now.
That's when they were testing. They were, I hate needles.
Oh my gosh, I forgot all about that.
They were poking the shunt to get the fluid to go test it.
They were manually draining the fluid from your brain.
No, they were going to go test it though, I think.
That's not what I recall. They were trying to give you relief.
Oh my gosh.
Oh my gosh, I forgot all.
I hate needles though.
wow, can we never have this experience ever again?
And then my heart rate goes down.
So it just got to this point where, yeah, you're on so many painkillers. Like, I don't know how many, like they just kept giving you more.
I was just on a lot of morphine probably.
Isn't that a painkiller?
Okay. Yeah.
I don't even know. We don't take painkillers. We like take Advil if we have like a coffee headache. Okay. We're not really like
I was on a couple days of consistent morphine.
Yeah. You were on heavy drugs. And so when you were still in so much pain, your heart rate started dropping. And then all these 6 people showed back up at your room and you were gone. Someone
finally said he needs to get into surgery now. Like that's the story.
That's the box that they needed to tick to get him into emergency.
Somewhere along the line, I hit a box that finally got me to the front of the line.
Next time we need to do it on like day 2 instead of day 4. But anyway. It did definitely get to this point where it was really scary watching you get rolled away, not knowing. And the doctor called it exploratory surgery, which to me was terrifying because they were like, we don't know what we're going to find. When we open him up, when we like check the catheter, we don't know what's going to be there, what needs to be replaced. Do they have to replace the whole thing or just the catheter? There was a lot of unknowns.
Yeah.
And I'm a planner. I'm like, I ask way too many questions and I want to know, right?
Well, some of it, yeah, and that's just what it is sometimes. I really feel like with spinal stuff, fluids, shunts, any of those issues, the brain, headache, the idea of a migraine, it's hard to pinpoint sometimes.
Yeah.
And so they went in there and they replaced the shunt. Yeah. But talk about the scar tissue.
Or what did we say though? They went in there and they go, this is some archaic thing in here. Yeah. Like we need to put it in a museum somewhere.
My doctor was like graduating high school when this thing came out.
Yeah. To say that the shunt was outdated was an understatement.
Yeah.
So
he didn't even know this shunt wasn't even at the doctor's school he went to.
Yeah. I don't know who operated on you. But that was the other thing too that I found way fascinating is, so he has a tube, the shunt, it drains fluid from his head all the way down to his stomach. So there's a catheter that runs all the way. And I didn't know that it's high risk to remove the catheter. So they do what's called...
That's the part that's like touching the brain.
No, they removed that catheter.
Oh.
The one that goes here, they abandoned it. They abandoned the catheter.
They abandoned a part of it, right?
No, you can still feel it.
Part of it was broken.
I think you can still feel the whole thing. I don't think they took anything out. They might have taken out the piece that was broken, but you can still feel.
I think this part they kept in, but this...
No, so it's all there. So that's what's crazy about the body is your scar tissue, it forms around the catheter.
Yeah.
And so you risk bleeding out, essentially, if they take the catheter out.
And what were you saying about the scar tissue up here?
So they moved the catheter to the other side. So now you have a catheter running on each side, but one is abandoned and one is working. And they replaced the shunt and they replaced the part that goes into your brain, which was the scariest part because that's literally brain surgery.
Yeah. And
Yeah. And so the thing we discovered, so he had 1 million CAT scans, shuntograms, you name it. You had something, an MRI, like all the things. And they would always look at the brain around where the shunt was and it looked normal. Like it didn't look like anything was wrong. We later learned that Zach has a ton of scar tissue from his previous shunt surgeries. And so whenever the vessels became inflamed or backed up, they didn't have anywhere to go because there was so much scar tissue. So it looked normal, even though there was a ton of pressure being put on your brain because those vessels were being blocked.
Super interesting.
Yeah. And now you have now Zach's part of the 21st century.
I want to correct one thing though. I don't think my old shunt was on this side too though.
Yeah.
And then the new one's on this side.
Yeah.
Okay, you were just saying that it was on.
No, they moved the catheter. They moved the catheter, so the catheter runs down on your left side now, where it used to run down on your right side. Is how I understood it.
I don't think so. I can feel it on this side.
Okay, maybe they ran it along the same one.
Okay. Either way.
That was one of the things when Zach and I first started dating, though. Like when you'd cuddle on the couch. I remember like putting my hand on your abdomen and being like, wait, a minute. What is that?
Yeah.
You could like feel the tube all the way. It's a wild experience. Man.
So yeah, we're up on a year on that, and I have not had a migraine since then.
I think it's also wild to note. It's like pretty scary to us that you had brain surgery. At least to me, I still think about it. This was brain
surgery, by the way.
It is brain surgery. No. Who says it wasn't?
I don't know. Internet. The
internet doesn't know what they're talking about. It is actual brain surgery. We had a neurologist, a brain doctor perform. It's brain surgery, but for us, it's like scary because it's exploratory brain surgery and all this stuff. But then this is just, Doc's Tuesday morning.
Yeah.
It's just what he does on Tuesdays. Just so wild.
I do want to say I feel for everyone. I said this in my Instagram post at the time. Everyone that's still in the hospital today, tomorrow,
oh my gosh,
that can't figure out what's wrong with them. They don't know. That is the most aggravating.
Yeah.
Or they think they know, they do a solution and it doesn't work, and they're still in pain. They wake up.
I think that happens a lot within the dwarf community, and it's very difficult to just listen to those stories of people who like.
There's a kid in the Midwest that just went through like 4 or 5 different surgeries trying to figure out spinal pain and injury or something, headaches, and but not just for people with dwarfism. Everyone that's what I thought about. Everyone that was still in there, couldn't figure it out,
or people that have to have revisions constantly.
Yes.
Like you've been lucky, and it's once every 15 years.
Yes,
and
very blessed.
There's some people that have to have revisions every year, every month, every.
It is humbling also having something in my body. We said it earlier. It makes
you're a
me
fragile
feel
little guy, man.
But seriously, it is like it is. There's something that my body depends on a foreign object,
keep going,
to operate. So,
it's wild.
But I'm glad no more migraines. Our family.
But I think that though too, through this entire experience, I think that I have learned to be a better advocate for you.
Oh yeah, advocacy is so important.
I feel like it's so important to have somebody there during the appointments, during the situations that are happening, and we're immensely blessed in that way that like we both were there. Like there's so
100%.
many people that don't have that option.
Yeah.
And as much as doctors, I truly believe that doctors are like.
You have to believe that doctors have your best interest, but it's always nice, especially if you're under pain medicine.
And especially
you have someone else hearing it, someone else that can remember it, relay it, communicate it to the rest of the family, friends, whoever.
But also having somebody, because a lot of times these issues aren't currently happening for a doctor to see. Like they're not seeing things firsthand, and so to have somebody that can recount things with you is a huge blessing. And
two opinions always make a better story. More information the better. So advocacy in a doctor's office, hospital room is super important. Thank you for being
that's
there.
what I was waiting for. For it.
Thank you for being there.
Roloffs don't do emotions, so
we do, but it was you took care of all the kids that whole time. My mom came in.
Your mom mom deserves MVP of that whole showing up at 2 a.m.
I'm surprised she didn't block our numbers after that.
Oh my god. Showing up at 2 a.m. and then having to get up with children at 6 a.m.
We did that twice.
I'm sorry, Amy. We also did that for each child. Maybe not the first one. The first one stayed put. The other two, Josiah came early, and we called your mom at 2 a.m. Like, my water broke. Can you come hang out?
Yeah.
Bless her. Oh, my goodness.
So a year. No
here you
episodes.
Are. You're
no
still here.
Yeah, back at it. So
we are so grateful for the doctors that helped us at OHSU. And honestly, throughout everything like that we've gone through the last 7 years, I do feel like doctors really have listened and tried to.
My experience at OHSU has been top. Yeah. Like top notch.
And I was can we say names? I don't know if we should say names. There was a doctor in particular that I called the morning that we got checked into the ER. Yeah. And he called me while you were at the ER. I'm going to get emotional about this.
This is a pediatric
Yeah, but
doctor.
He called me and I was so nervous because I'm like, I'm watching my husband go into surgery and watching him through all this pain. And I don't know these doctors. Like, how do I just let somebody have brain surgery with my husband? How do I do that? And
I was totally okay with it.
Yeah. See, I get emotional and you make fun of me. Like, get out of here. But this particular doctor called me and said, everything's going to be fine. He's in great hands. And I feel like after that phone call, I was like, okay, we're in the right spot. We're doing the right thing.
Yeah, totally.
But it was scary. It was some scary business. Okay, we have a lot of kids, and I
think all of
I need some help with it. Okay,
hydrocephalus can be a common thing in the dwarf. And anyone can have a shunt, average size people. But hydrocephalus could be a common thing in the dwarf community.
I remember Lila got RSV when she was 6 months old or something like that.
Yeah.
And I remember crying in our kitchen because I was so nervous that it was hydrocephalus. Like, it's one of those things that, especially when your kids are younger, everything that happens sickness wise or pain wise or anything, you panic. Like, you really, that's where my brain always went, was my husband had hydrocephalus. Why wouldn't my kids have it? And it's a really scary position to be in.
Totally. Yeah.
We've been very, very blessed with they don't have it. And like, they have never showed signs
and they
of
probably,
hydrocephalus.
I think they're old enough now.
Sai's still kind of in that age range that makes me a little nervous. Like, you got to pay attention. He hits his head freaking all the time. So I'm like, there's going to be something. Oh my gosh. But yes, you're right. They don't show signs of hydrocephalus. And like, I mean, Amy tells me stories now about when you were an infant. I was like, how? Like, how did you get through that?
I might have been older than 9 months. I think 9 months is when I met RSV
maybe
episode. But I think I was maybe a year and a half, 18 months.
I think you're right. I think it was 18 months that you had your first shunt surgery.
But
she would tell me, like, it was like daily that you would throw up every single day. You'd throw, and like, our kids threw up every single day, and our kids just had acid reflux as babies.
No, they didn't. Yeah, they didn't throw up like my mom's telling me.
But as a new mom, you're sitting here like, oh my gosh, my kid throws up every day. They have something wrong. Like, they're just following in dad's footsteps. Like, it's scary.
But everything's good now. So moving on. Hopefully no more.
I know.
Hopefully, get me out of the way. Like, how was the center?
Hopefully we get another 15 years out of this this situation, and we're not back at OHSU anytime soon.
When you're a dad and you have 3 kids and a wife like that, like, and when you're the center of attention, for me it was super annoying. I'm like, get me out of here. Like, focus on the kids, take them to wherever they need to be.
You should tell them though what Jackson did.
Help me out here
with the staples. Jackson, like, when Zach went to get his staples out, Jackson like begged him, please bring him home. Bring home and you brought home the whole thing. He brought home the staples and the little tool that took out the staples from your head. And Jackson was like locked. He was like, this is the coolest thing I've ever seen.
Yeah, he was pretty locked in. Jackson had some cute moments though during that whole thing.
And Jackson was because he was old enough to know dad's in pain and dad's like, So. And we had just lost Papa.
Yes.
We had just lost Papa, and Jackson's very connected to the Lord, which is so cool to see. And when we lost Papa, I remember he was like, Papa's in heaven. That's like where he is. And I remember, I'm going to get emotional again. I remember there was one day that I came home and he asked me, he's like, is dad going to go to heaven? Is he going to go with Papa? And I was like, man, oh my gosh, like, no, not like, I hope not. Like, but that was a moment that was so hard to talk to my 6-year-old about, you know,
equating going to the hospital with like heaven.
Well, we kept saying he's sick. And I think that's what we said when Papa got sick. Like,
Dad's
Papa's really
gonna go
sick.
say hi
and
to Papa.
Yeah. And so he did have this moment of, I'm going to lose my dad. And oh my gosh, that was heartbreaking. And, you know, I lied out of my teeth. I was like, no, dad's just farting around at the, you know, like, I made something up to keep it light. But, you know, he definitely was perceptive enough to see what was going on, which was really scary.
Yeah. So, hopefully no more surgeries for me.
I know.
Maybe
I think we have a lot of surgeries coming up,
some
but
of our
it's not
kids,
us.
maybe, but
oh my gosh,
no more me. I'm
really the only one
that
I'm really the only one that can keep it together in this family. So
okay, you can.
Me and Josiah.
Health insurance is also tough. Yeah. I'm gonna do my little PSA real quick, or public
service announcement.
Health insurance stinks. Yeah. Going to the hospital stinks. It's expensive. So doing this exploratory thing where you go to a bunch of different doctors, that all costs money. Yeah. And when you don't work for a corporation that you have awesome health insurance, or a union, and you have independent health insurance, it's tough. That's what I think about. I'm like, so
for those people who
I don't know the fix. I don't know.
Because even us, like I mean, we're in a position that we can, but there were moments that were like, this is not okay. Like, this is unreal.
We have health insurance, and what we still had to pay was tough.
Well, and there was one that came back to us that was like, it was one of the x-rays. I think it was the post one, to make sure that everything was like in place. And the insurance came back saying, no, that wasn't necessary. That wasn't necessary. No. We're like, excuse me.
I don't know
you just had brain surgery. Like, we need to make sure.
And this isn't like political or anything, but health insurance.
It's a little political.
It doesn't fully describe my full political beliefs, but that part of things is insane to me.
It's thievery. It's just wild.
Anyway.
Well, you are alive and kicking and doing your thing. Thank the Lord above that we got through that as a family.
I feel like that was a fun story. It's been a year. We're actually celebratory about this.
Okay. It was really scary, but it was like, I feel like been such an answered prayer.
It helps describe some of our personalities. I feel like.
Like what?
Like, I'm casual. I'm like forgivable.
Zach just really wants everyone to know that he's not dramatic.
Okay, but you're a little bit more.
That's all he wants out of this episode.
No, I'm just saying it helps. The reason of this podcast is fans get to know us a little better.
Yeah, totally.
Through storytelling, and so the story, you can glean some different personalities from us. So, but let's wrap this up. What are we going to talk about next week?
I don't know. What are we going to talk about next week?
We have a couple topics.
We have so many things, but again, I think that we really want to hear from you guys and what you guys want to see on the show. Make sure that you subscribe to Apple Podcasts and Spotify and anywhere that you listen to podcasts to make sure you don't miss an episode. We got new episodes every week, every Thursday. And make sure you're following us on social media. Make sure you got Tori Roloff, Zach Roloff, and Raising Heights.
Yeah, thanks for joining us.
Thanks for joining.